I read the other day that we don't actually fall in love with the project itself. We fall in love with the person we imagine we'll be once we've finished it. And I haven't been able to stop thinking about that because I feel like it kind of explains everything. Maybe that's why we're all so obsessed with starting things, why we love buying the notebook, announcing the plan, making the Pinterest board, signing up for the race. Because starting is shiny, it's exciting, it feels like becoming. And in those first moments, we don't just see a to-do list or a task, we see a better version of ourselves. The one who wakes up early, follows through, writes the book, builds the business, actually runs the marathon. But then reality kicks in. You start doing the work and the novelty wears off, and suddenly you're just sitting at your laptop trying to convince yourself to open the document you've been avoiding for 3 days, or you're dragging yourself to week 3 of that online course that felt so exciting when you paid for it, but now it just feels like a chore. And it's not that you've changed your mind exactly, it's just that the fantasy version of yourself doesn't seem quite as available anymore. And I think the thing that really gets us is that we don't quit in a dramatic, cinematic way. We just quietly drift. We decide now isn't the right time, and the weeks pass and the idea lingers, just sort of floating in the background like this little reminder that once again, you didn't finish. And I think it's easy to brush that off as not a big deal, but it's not about productivity. It starts to creep into how we see ourselves. You collect enough of those half-done projects and suddenly you've got this quiet story running around in the background that you're someone who doesn't follow through, that you're someone who starts things but never finishes. And what makes it even harder is that stopping kind of feels good, doesn't it? There's this little sigh of relief when you decide you don't have to keep going, and in that moment it feels like self-care. But long term, it does cost something, because every time you give up on something you said you wanted, even if it's tiny, you chip away a little bit of trust in yourself. And I think that's the bit we don't talk about enough, the way quitting quietly builds a gap between who you think you are and how you actually behave. And the longer that gap grows, the harder it gets to bridge it. So this week on the podcast, I wanted to talk about all of that, why we're so addicted to starting and why finishing feels so awkward and unglamorous, why your brain actually gets way more satisfaction from beginnings than middles, and what you can do to stop that cycle before it derails another thing you cared about. Because I think that if we want to change this pattern, we have to stop putting so much pressure on the big moment, the launch, the medal, the end result. Yes, of course that matters, but it's not the bit that changes you. The bit that changes you is the small, boring, unsexy follow-through, the tiny ways you prove to yourself over and over again that you're someone who keeps those promises to yourself, and how with a bit of science and a bit of mindset and a lot of unglamorous consistency, you can train yourself to become someone who actually finishes what they start, someone who you can trust.